Hi, everybody. My name is Kelly Herrell. I'm the CEO of Hazelcast, and I'd like to take a few moments to talk about our unique approach to data processing that allows customers to do what we call unlocking the money moments. So first question is, who uses Hazelcast? The answer is often surprising. The answer is everybody on this call and anybody who watches this event after that. We have a large portion of our business that comes out of financial services, from payment processing, fraud detection, trading, analytics. Anytime you're going through a payment process, whether it's credit card or fraud detection, Hazelcast is behind the scenes making sure that that happens very, very quickly and with integrity. If you shop on any large e-commerce site, Hazelcast is going to be there making sure that you're having a solid experience in terms of response time, and that your checkout is fast. We have many other verticals that we play in as well, but those two happen to be the largest for us. And the reason, and I'll show you why in a moment, is that when time is money, customers buy Hazelcast. So the company itself is global in scale. We have people across 21 countries, 200 large global customers. We have a global open source user community that is really massive, and even our largest customer is $1 trillion market cap. Our customer base itself is also multi-continental, 24 of the largest banks, 8 of the largest e-commerce companies, and you can see the other stats there. And we've been growing. Matter of fact, last year we raised $50 million in growth capital. We've increased the team by about 50% over the last year. Intel added us into their AI disruptor program and part of their Optane persistent memory launch. And IBM now is actually directly selling Hazelcast to their customers. So we've got quite a reach, and there's good reason for that. The adoption of Hazelcast is really being driven by digital transformation. These are strategic implementations, and they're designed to instantaneously unlock the value of data in that moment. And they're mission critical applications. So these applications are central to these large business functions, and so they also have to have zero downtime. The technology drivers behind this are very current. Kubernetes, microservices increasingly driving this. Hybrid cloud is a big implementation model. We're seeing more and more in edge computing, where just vast amounts of data are being generated from IoT types of environments, and this happens to be a very, very sharp place for us to leverage machine learning processing capabilities of the systems. So what Hazelcast has is really some unique insights on how to address data in order to unlock that value. And these insights are born from years of practice with really advanced technologies. Now, this all happens to be kind of the furniture of our mind because we deal with this all day long. But when we go to customers, this is very, very new. And so, if they have never seen this type of technology before, they may not know exactly, how they might leverage it. And so it's a little bit like the experience that Henry Ford had. If I asked people what they wanted, they'd say a faster horse. So we often walk in and we're really helping the customers expand their perspective on what's possible. Now, our vision for the company is to empower the world to act instantaneously on data everywhere. If I unpack that, each one of those words is very, very carefully selected. We're here to empower the world. We have global ambition. We're already getting there, and we're not just teaching customers how to understand something about their data from analytics, but to actually act on that understanding as well, and then to do it instantaneously. I'm going to be talking about what I mean by instantaneous in a couple of examples here in a moment. But think of milliseconds, right? There's 1,000 milliseconds in a second, and it takes 300 of those to blink. So 300 milliseconds to blink. We're typically working on the 1 to 2 millisecond time frame, and sometimes down into the microseconds as well, which is millionths of a second. So that's what we mean by instantaneously, and that ends up mattering. And as it relates to data, what type of data? A lot of times we think of data as data that's already been stored, data that's in a database or a system of record. But there's other types of data. There's streaming data. We've had streaming data around, forever, back in the mainframe days from the MQ series or TIBCO. This is an event happens, a piece of data is published, and it has to go from point A to point B. More currently, we've got things like Kafka and Pulsar and Kinesis that are really increasingly popularizing the usage of streaming data. And we can do this data processing everywhere. We can do it on premise in your data center. We can do it in the cloud in our managed service. We can do it at the edge. So this is a very, very powerful vision that we have, and we are realizing it. Some examples of some of the mission critical use cases. Payment processing is one. One of our customers is driving 10,000 transactions per second with 5 nines of uptime. Fraud detection is another one where for credit card transactions, our customer is running multiple algorithms, multiple fraud detection algorithms within milliseconds and at high volume. And they're doing this not just for large transactions, they're doing it for every time somebody buys a cup of coffee at Starbucks. E-commerce, we've helped customers reduce order processing times by very large amounts, holding very, very fast latencies and response times for the end users. And doing this with a system that can expand just elastically, whether it's a slow day, slow Sunday, or whether it's Black Friday or Cyber Monday, and always being able to deliver that same level of performance and that same level of uptime. And we've got implementations in edge computing. We had the first operational deployment of streaming technology in the oil and gas business, where there are some 60 or 70 sensors per rig feeding data in real time, and we're processing that, looking for anomalies so that they can shut down the rig before something breaks, and that saves a lot of money in their drilling operations. So these are really core applications. I have a question.
This is Enrique. Sorry, but you know what? I didn't understand what you actually do. I mean, is it a hardware platform? Is it a software? Because you're talking about, several platforms, Kafka and many others.
Yep.
So you mentioned a little bit of everything, and you're looking also at this, you can do
I'm going to show you
everything, but it's not really clear what you really do.
Yep, we are a software and cloud company, but here I'm going to get to that in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'll get to that right now. So there's 2 capabilities that we have in our software platform. That are both of which are best in class. And this is the way to view this. We have applications, and those applications are calling for data from the database. For the applications that we power, databases are simply too slow. They cannot respond in time. They weren't designed to respond in that kind of time. So what we are an in-memory compute platform. We're a software platform that runs in standard memory and shared memory across pools of servers. And we pull data from stored data sources. We pull it up into memory, and we serve that application at megahertz speeds instead of RPM speeds of the disk drives. And that allows for us to deliver the key characteristic of extremely low latency and response time to the application. So everywhere we go, there is a database below us. We are not the database. We are basically a massive turbocharger that sits between the application and the database. And that's for stored data. Now you can have also streaming data, as I've mentioned. This could be Kafka, IoT, MQ. That's data that is born in the moment. And there's opportunity for processing it if you capture it in the moment. It's data that got born and it's going to go from point A to point B. You can process it effectively on the wire. That feeds through our platform. And here the key characteristic of performance is real time, which is different than low latency. Low latency being a fast response time, and real time being a function of processing it in the moment. So the ability to process both stored and streaming data at very low latency and in a very high real time is the unique capability of our software platform. And there's no other platform in the world that can do both of those. And if you think about this, what's in databases are the records. The system says, I know something. I know something about the profile of this user, for example. But what you're dealing with streams and events is you're dealing with the payload. Something just happened, and I have the information about what just happened, and it's passing through. Now, those are 2 different types of information, and you approach them differently for processing. The thing that we do when we're working with customers and helping them do what's called kind of unlocking the money moments here is, understanding that digital workloads are different. They're just different. They're very low latency. They can have immense amounts of scale. They've got to be always on. It could be streaming and stored data. It could be transactions and analysis, and it could be hybrid of any of those things. And when you get into this hybrid data processing like this, you can do things that were not before possible. You can take brand new customer engagement models. So for example, one of our customers has a system where when one of their users goes up to the ATM and logs on, that creates an event which triggers off a bunch of computation on the backside, analyzing the profile of that customer, and in real time, then text the customer a custom offer, perhaps a low interest loan. All done in the moment while the customer is still there. And we got other examples like risk processing for large banks. A bank that does a lot of trades, at the end of the day, the normal way for processing their risk profile is running a large overnight batch process and calculating just how much risk they're bearing if the market does not go the way they want it to in the morning. And that amount of risk is really high, therefore they have to hold a lot of cash on the balance sheet for regulatory purposes to cover that risk. Well, we showed customers that they don't have to do it that way. They can, instead of doing that as a nighttime batch process, they can run it continuously all day long. And by the end of the day, they know precisely where they stand from a risk profile. It's a much smaller amount of risk, and they can hold far less cash on the balance sheet, which allows them to put that other cash to work. So in something like that, you're talking about new processes that are fundamentally transformed from the way that they used to do things. As I mentioned, we do a lot of business in financial services. A publication there, The Banker, every year puts out its awards for innovation in digital banking, and they're celebrating what they call the art of the possible. In 2020, there were 15 winners. 6 of them are Hazelcast customers across multiple continents. As a matter of fact, the top honors for global payment was for the global payment solution that was designed by Standard Chartered, which is using this combination of capability for really innovative payment processing systems. So what we are a data layer, a data processing layer that sits between systems of record and the application, as well as taking events and data streams. We can run that on-premise, we can run it in the cloud, we can run it at the edge, and that makes us very, very unique. So I'm going to leave it there, and I appreciate your time.